Hello. Welcome to any night owls who can't sleep. I feel your pain a little. It must be stressful. It must be stressful to be where you are. I put up a title saying, "Don't vote for Trump excuses. Vote responsibly. Vote Biden." And that's because Donald Trump just does have a series of excuses for uh, running against reality, campaigning against the reality of the pandemic from the beginning, treating it as a campaign issue. Shall I take coronavirus seriously? Will it benefit me to have daily briefings where I promote therapeutics that don't have demonstrated value and safety and efficacy to the American public, etc.? Morning, Paul. Hi, Engage. I hope I didn't wake anybody up. People who still say Trump 2020, maybe you're in it because you worry that the left is too habituated to making excuses, that they've veered so far towards inclusivity and compassion that they just have abandoned the use of shame as a social tool to promote better behavior and punish bad behavior. So the pandemic has sharply highlighted the way that Trumpists aren't responsible people promoting responsible behavior. They are anti-science, anti-public health, self-deceivers and public deceivers who undermine public health substantially, who prolong a pandemic, who prolong suffering, who have undermined all the hard work that people put into promoting safety, all the sacrifices and the staying at home, the voluntary choosing of safe behaviors. Yes, but maybe they're paid in advance, or maybe they're just kind of psychologically stuck in a bit of a rut. And that's understandable. People get stuck in a rut, people get addicted to certain maladaptive ways of behaving. So, yes, 2 days away from, I guess, finding out the results of the election. So, 1 day away from people going to the polls. And I think a lot of us are expecting disruption, potentially even violence. We've seen that Trump supporters have been forming these big Trump trains to block streets and bridges, etc. I don't block someone with a varying opinion from me. There's a broad tent of opinions that are welcome here, but not fascists, not really people aligned with fascism. And if you don't recognize fascism, that's understandable. There's some very heavy-duty psychological warfare that's been waged against the public, capitalizing on high pre-existing levels of gullibility, credulousness, and racism. Oh, fantastic. You're working at 3 p.m. West Coast time on phones or Zoom calls for Biden Harris. Lovely. Well, that's sluts and drug addicts who literally couldn't survive without handouts. I am not a slut or a drug addict, and I think in a demographic sense, there's a lot of people who are very motivated to turn out and evict Trump from the office he is so unfit to hold. Not only unfit, but that he is so negligently and malevolently occupied. He's denied assistance to Californian states who donate a lot to federal coffers through their productivity and consequently the amount of tax that they pay on their economic activity, which is substantial. I think Trump trolls have probably succumbed a lot to that brainwashing about California, that they don't recognize that Trump thinks that California is the 5th biggest economy in the world. Trump definitely is one of the largest debt holes in the world. He is a billionaire in debt terms. What's the 19th, American friends? I should really spend a day reading through the constitutional amendments on Wikipedia, shouldn't I? Oh, good. I'm glad you can report people, Paul. That's fantastic. Yes, well, we're just going to take interest in that day. We're expecting not only Trump-instigated violence, we're expecting Trump to prematurely declare victory in an effort to get all of the judges he's appointed, including the 3 Supreme Court justices he's appointed, to try and rule out counting ballots, to not count legitimately cast mail-in ballots by millions of American voters, which highlights who really is on the side of law and order and democracy and people power, and highlights which team is on the side of furthering corrupt corporate interests and suppressing the rule of law and denying Americans their constitutionally mandated right to vote and to contribute in holding politicians and leaders accountable, and to contribute to a collective will of identifying and excising charlatans, criminals, and corrupt people from high office. Thank you. So the 19th Amendment was the vote for women, of course. Well, no wonder we have the Trump trolls saying repeal the 19th. We get a few of them come in and say, make me a sandwich, etc. So yes, this is just a very, very brief broadcast from me. I'm about to go pick up my kids, but I want to say stay the course to people who have time or energy still that they could devote to volunteering to phone bank. And phone bank for the Biden campaign, not necessarily in a way of even trying to persuade people to vote, but phone bank in a way that helps get correct information out to people. Because there's going to be covert disinformation campaigns out there that are funded either by the Trump campaign or by the hidden secondary Trump campaigns that are run by Russia or Saudi Arabia, etc. Yes, it's the 100th anniversary, is it this year, of the 19th Amendment. Very exciting. So yes, good night to everyone. Biden 2020 indeed. And yes, just be prepared, America, if Trump does prematurely declare victory, that you need to keep reminding the media not to be complicit or not to collaborate with that it's not okay to declare victory because of red mirages in places like Pennsylvania, where in-person counting is counted before all of that early voting and all of those mail-in ballots. Because that's what Trump is hoping will happen, but it is a possibility that it's going to be so substantially evident that Texas has flipped and Georgia has flipped and Ohio potentially. Well, that's big hopefulness, but it is going to be a Biden landslide to a degree. It just depends on how much interference Trump can run. Hopefully not that much. Hopefully people in the judiciary system, even that Trump has appointed, have some degree of conscience and won't want to participate in overturning the collective will of Americans. That's an interesting point. All right, oops, I better go. So yes, thanks, Paul. Share and retweet if you enjoyed this broadcast, and I hope to see you all again soon. I'll be back. I want to hang in tight for the last few critical days, and don't worry, I'm not going to go away after that either. I'm going to be here for you guys. Thanks so much. Take care. Talk to you soon.